No one's standard 10. No one's recipe 2. Tuesday again. I have discovered amicability between us. I will write my blogs as journals of a recipe journey to a better delectability of thoughts. Thus I will plan the days in controspect and retrospect. The editing will make my daily standard more suited to a public lens. You gain invented recipes, I get to eat better, and the book website gains greater dimensions in the width of wit. The idea of 100 books in a matrix book is one which inspires me as a project which could last a lifetime. I could be speaking to myself right now, it's kind of self-centering. Or is that self-centered? I could draw an icon every week and record the process, playing it for the visuals. Slices of genera as garnishes of modern conversationalism are the glass onion of the Beatles' abstraction to the worldview of love. That pointed cultural reference needs a viral coinage of standard. I think a Beatle is a unit of fame ensures that. The sentences of this modern language are fraying for me. To speak commonly is radical to me aware. In that hat, I want to smoke on some American weed, allegorically for the story of a life in a casa steamed by the great online a bit at a time. Jokes are clearly the diamonds of standard as cut for the jewelry of modern-day lifestyles, be these earrings such an English fashion's beauty of earthy strength. The root-tangled diamond earhook of a lady who reads in deep symbolism. I ask what more is romance for her. Comedy is so close to tragedy as divided by the uncanny valley too often. Comedy squashed as by the sporty definition of wording, there is a no one to brew. The idea of graphing ingredients will be easily done in an Excel application. I also need a list of kitchen tools to buy. The next list is one of the goals for the week. Mondays could really be long for me, editing, crafting the video, publishing, outreach, planning, and writing for the next week. There are many projects I need to do to get this week's standard out on time. Draw the icon for no one's recipe standard. Lest tragedy strike. Tell a joke every day. A joke away keeps the doctor away, if humor is the best medicine. Research the items of food you are reinventing to get more ideas. By Julie and Julia the book, and read before bed each night. Hit the grocery store. Edit along a week. Each day keep editing the days, compounding the effect of the words. This will keep me on target as well. Walk off the new calories. I am going to record my exercise here. From the start of June I've walked and ran around 23 miles. Try a polymath recipe of life and record the results. The equation of doing a major project 5 days a week between the recipes in the format of a job. Start expanding my horizons. Do meetups with clubs, wake up early, stop eating out, try meditating, anything to advance health. Squeeze your brain for the cream of humor to dip into with fingers as a diet of our musings. Public ethos buildings of vocational architecture online are painted in the prose solution and a resolution of shade for the public. The heat in America this week is worrying, both politically and in terms of the weather. A little shade to it could cool us all. Such a criticism is the pollution of our worldview for the value of a little earth. The climate change deniers in positions of power should be drawn to their more appropriate cartoon criticality every week until public shame grows in them, the spine they were born without. Rhetorical assassinations of the superhero standard as a daily protector of the world against the evil in men is beyond the job of a journalist. It is the job of an influencer. To use fame against the decrepit works of humanity is a public service, and what validates the ethos of celebrity and a socially minded virality. The socialism of mentality, of celebrity, of vocation, and spiritualism is a greater civic worldview. Socialism of our time to prop up democratic civilization in the general sense is an ideological policy. A capitalization of our time might just prove as the civic counterpart, does such an inequity is too often based on that which divides us. If every Starbucks worker decided to promote in one of their allotted positions on the wall an artistic or manifest piece of socialized style and exchange of ideas, the world would be better daydreamed into. But if workers at a coffee shop can't hold the public wall for themselves to some sway, how can our culture grow to a more dialectic standard? Kids in a classroom should be allowed a space on the wall for a poem, an equation, quote, visual art, or in the future the interface of videos. The communism of a public place in terms of rights of our casted shadow is important to note as much as the capitalism of our intellectual property is. A better civic worldview is more politically ethical to our global humanity. I realize now the standard here for a commentality in the 100 BM is part of the dinner conversation of a deeper confectionism. The snacks of a greater supper support the metric of a daily meal plan. I wonder, if I hold on to this standard for the full year, could I make it to the oceans? The squeeze of my lemons of time only make a lemonade lifestyle. The road stand here needs to find a bigger intersection. It seems like an appropriate time to mention that if you register email, you can get these blogs and others direct to inbox. I hope to start offering a subscription service through the email software I have. The exploration of a butter and drink recipe will illustrate a process of developing a recipe to finish. The drink recipe will be fun but hard to get right, that one has more variables to consider. I am going to make the drink first for the novelty of spirits. I have included some songs to listen to as you read. It is important to learn how to multitask to become more discerning of multiple mediums at the same time. That will bring you a sense of street smarts and simple complexity from mastery. The revolve of a record in the 60s, the resolution of revolution by older audio standards and more static, is a high simplicity to me. I am going to the local market today to find ingredients for the white Julius. I will not find blue bonnets, so I will make do with another blue long flowering stem. Morning glories are also acceptable. The context of the poetry is an ivy of culture to sip into. To pollinate ourselves in the glass of a cooling daily solution to boring standards is to find a garden of spirit, cola, fruit, and any oddity of dirt, life, and sunlight as over these many million years. I wonder if there is a standard online of drinking certain cultural standards beside the experience of art. I thus encourage all my readers to take a greater sense of urgency to cook the luxury of a day's need for such a conversation of ingredients, to find the poems of a meal as a tool for personal growth as I have, to dig deep into the planet for the gem candies of a more metro reservation and richness of soul. Grocery list for the market. Vanilla bottle. Ice bag 3 lemons. Cream cheese. Champagne or crisp white wine. Powdered sugar. Grapefruit juice. Heavy cream. Flowers. Anything else which catches your eye. I have the rest of the ingredients. If you had cooks deliver specific poems before dinner, it could make the same food taste better in a double-blind experiment every month for a year with a ban on eating the same dish between then. One with instructions to eat it out at a new restaurant. Maybe 2 Wendy's burgers, and each month you switch between telling a poem and no poem. You could have cooks get info about the party as given by the survey they fill out. Then you could hire a poet at every restaurant to write custom poems for each person. Rappers could perform them. Try an insults one as well. Order a poem, an insult, the chef's words on the dish and his day, the full history of the food besides some historic knowledge, or a spiritualist's words all based on surveys. You could put the restaurant in a building of cubes that VR into some special places around the world. You could set the mood. The theory is that the more you enjoy the setting, the more it will affect your value of the food. Hire street musicians live around the world to play each cube and fresh air. Maybe avoid the cube and get out into the world. You could test each of these variables. Maybe have a restaurant that is huge with walls that change based on the entire restaurant voting. That way there is still community to consider and value in the dining experience. Maybe have people selling wares walking around with strict instructors to not approach the table unless someone flips over their card on the table. You could sell people rare items from around the world this way. A company from TEP Airline who advertises vacations anywhere in the world, an artifact dealer, a gem and mineral dealer, a flower dealer who can order most any flower for next day delivery or direct to location delivery, a romantic gesture, a poet who sells loose leaves of poems he has written for you to read later, a video game advocate who tries to get you to buy a starter pack for new games, kids' toys, a polymath genius who designs children's whimsy, a jewelry professional, an errand service representative, a rare and commission book dealer, a painter who will paint your family at dinners you talk. He uses pictures as reference, so even if you leave, he will finish it and mail it to you. A cafeteria-sized hall of the future of dining. Maybe a website that does all of this online for the solo diner. I could study food, all ingredients and ripeness, the combinations, how to draw them. A poem about what it means to shop in a supermarket. A take on Walt Whitman in the supermarket. A philosophy of food and development. I expect the longest blog to be the last and then the first, for the motivation to write. There is just so much work to do. I know I write enough to have a standard and only a polymath standard. I just don't know if I will be motivated and smart enough to continue it. I bet I could find success in the polymath pursuit. Sometimes you gotta be the best in the world to get the job you want, and even your foot in the right door is strangely selective an opportunity. I failed to buy groceries today. The market was closed when I arrived, and I decided to just go home to take a break. I put in the effort, just not always in the right places. When I get interested in something, that becomes my job, and what I was working on becomes no longer something I am qualified to do by the level of interest. A lot of working on specific and scheduled things for me boils up because of a heat of motivation. That is one of the reasons I failed school. It got too arduous listening to others direct my attention day after day in regiment. Fuck that. Quit school, and be an artist like me. This is for those who have to hear it, those who don't know anything else to do because that is all they love. Those willing to live crushed under the foundation and institution of poverty because painting is all that can be squeezed of our world and true love. Painters are romantics by the very historic medium, but it takes a good philosopher to be a good painter, or at least a period painter. Only painters can take the truer picture of reality, that swath of a better universe inside of us, the heartbeats splatter upon pages of the world. I realize now that the editing process might waiter the combustion in a rhetorical tabling for a public that sits in a cafe's open air. Cafe being a computer science term here for art dealers in a domain that people revisit as if in hunger and for time to seep into the culture. I wonder what this blog sounds as pressed in breath, be it computerized, oppressive words? The debate ends seemingly for now in the fact that it is unique to the standard of a blog. Follow me anywhere, I only make my money on the vault and the art store. As for updates for the website, I have a few. I want to make a music gallery to show off my history further and spread my song. I want to update the art store to add better quality art as dropship. I refuse to sell trash. That is not only a statement for our environment, but for my quality as an artist. Banksy inspired that. I doubt he would approve of some of what I do, but that especially. He is one of my heroes, the most famous living visual artist on the sphere of Earth, a painter who works like a spy, a genius who wants to better the way we think in the world. The lifetime subscriptions will be tested eventually, as will the advertisement machine on Instagram. Pinterest will be filled out with quotes and stolen pictures to draw attention. Facebook wants to be deleted, but it immortalized itself in too many capacitors. And Twitter will have gradual progress through the week and vault quotes. I am sure at some point I will develop a recipe for poison, and having somehow survived the effects, be able to bust that. Might be fun to devote a week to a list of ingredients that do not go together. That would fill in the fuller graph that I have planned. The longer the string of ingredients, the more incompatible they might become as a rule of common logic. You all can follow along with me in the polymath graph of the culinary arts. You could create your own strings of ingredients, graph of ingredients and prices, a study of ingredients as for history, ripeness and season, and greater flavor profile poems. If anyone sends me some JPEGs of their work on this, I might share them in the blog here. This is a fun time to mention another novelty here. You can follow me along each week. Each week you get 2 completely new recipes that you can cook and tinker with to serve tables. Being an adventurous cook is like being an adventurous music lover. It takes lots of effort and work to find what works, and the more you do it, the deeper you become. It takes effort to have fun and a well-lived life. A lot of effort. It's best boiled down into the phrase, you have to try. It's so true. You just have to try. I am now realizing the quantity of words I might write here. The first 2 days and near 5.5k words. With editing, I hope to brew the finer nicotine coffee of wordy cuppage. You may have noticed several unreal words. Consider them coined and in a greater reservation. In other words, don't feel obliged to use them in the hope they catch on. I got that covered. I might fuck myself in words. A romance of ill want. The more I write, the more I cross in lines the squiggle of English. I have been caught for several years in 2 lives, one truer, one at a distance obscured by the resolution, and one close up, but cloaked as a stranger but still honest. If I speak about something in my personal life, I generally avoid it in my canon and vice versa. I could tell you an internet historian with no degrees but prestige, still my daily struggle to be adult. My failures of a personal front, but I also need to know where to draw the line. The old line was most pure, being one of least context. I could have been anyone. Then I told you I like cannabis, I dropped out of college, and I sang for you. Now I am any stranger whose history and day you do not know. I am less than anyone, I am no one. You can do it, kid. If you don't make yourself, you won't. You have to try. That philosophical phrase has guided much of my life. The greater grammar of that in context determines a great deal by common logic, and such is the power. The problem is that my life is tragic and rich at the same time. I am both the luckiest person on earth and an artist with little to zero success, someone with a tragic story and a smile on their face, a genius and kind of an idiot. To write out to our world a letter of romantic length has taunted me for long still. I could tell my story here and never have to tell it again elsewhere, a sort of freedom I might enjoy. I am going to sleep on this and maybe for a week or longer. The thing is, I am scared of failing any longer. That is part of the reason I want to journal in a public format. I care more to not disappoint you than me. I know that in a month I could be on my perfect schedule, as is the right of most any person with true willpower. It will take a month or longer, and it will be little for comfort. For that attempt over the years, much of what I know is from the teacher named failure. I am a disciple of failure. Failure is where the will is drawn over by something deeper. I'll just keep you on a more operatic experience and medium, so the reading is a higher art. Cheers. The Poet No. 1.